My lovely city garden is loaded with snow. Come watch me test a chilly little trick. Starting hardy blooms outside in the middle of winter, leaving them out in the snow to grow. Hey, how's it going? Today I'm going to be starting my perennial flowers using the Winter Sowing Method. If you've never heard of it, I actually just discovered it this year. I'm already a big fan. The Winter Sowing Method is a budget-friendly, lazy gardener's dream for kickstarting seeds in the frosty outdoors. This trick uses recycled plastic containers as tiny greenhouses. My favorite. You plant the seeds inside, place them outside in the cold, even in the snow, which I'll be doing later today when I finish up, and let nature take over. These little fortresses will shield the seeds from weather tantrums, hungry critters, while letting nature's thermostat decide when it's time for the seeds to start sprouting. Now, the reason why I decided to do my perennial flowers this way this year is when I heard about it, I was a huge fan right away. Number one, no special equipment needed. Basically, you're using recycled containers, which is basically zero money. You don't need to go out and get any fancy grow lights. The sun's going to do the job. The next reason, cold stratification. Putting these in the containers and putting them outside is going to, again, let nature do its job. It's going to wake up those seedlings when they really need to wake up. A lot of flowers that are perennials, especially in our area, they need to go through the cold stratification process, which means if I just try to grow the seeds indoors in this warm room, they're not going to work. They need to go through a process where they're cold outside, and then they gets warm, just like the natural weather of zone 6. It saves space. I barely have room on where I have my grow lights and all the places around my apartment to grow the seedlings that I need. And of course this year I decided, oh, flowers, perennial flowers. Again, I don't have enough room. So that's going to save me some room by starting these outside. I have plenty of room inside for some of the other things that are not going to be suitable for sowing outdoors. And I think what might be my favorite of all the benefits is tougher seedlings. No hardening off. They live outside, they grow outside, they're automatically going to be tougher, making transplanting them out a breeze. I'm only starting perennial flowers right now because this is my first year doing this. I might start some of my annual flowers this way, maybe next month. Now the process to do this is actually pretty simple. You're going to use some recycled containers that need to be either clear or opaque because you want the sun to be able to come in. You will get rid of all your covers. You'll make drainage holes in the bottom. Cut it open, make sort of a hinge, plant the seeds inside. We'll use duct tape to tape it up. When we sow the seeds, we'll make sure we put on the outside of the containers what we are growing, as well as on the inside of the containers in case we lose that. We'll bring them outside, again, let nature take its course. Snow coming down and the rain coming down should automatically water them. The sun will automatically give them the light that they need to start growing. And once spring comes along, we'll just keep a close eye on them. Since they will be mini greenhouses, we don't want the sun to get too hot and cook them. So we'll keep an eye on them. When spring comes along, we start seeing green inside, we'll open them up and let them continue to grow outside. Pretty simple, right? Hopefully it works. This will be my first time, like I said, so I'm excited to get started. So let me show you the process. The first step is to, number one, gather my materials I need. I've been gathering these containers for a while now. I'm using some milk containers and also some clear containers from water. For my milk containers, I made sure I went through and washed them really good because I don't want any of that yucky stuff inside. For the water containers, I figure they're fine. I'm using potting soil, not seed starting soil. These are going to be outside for a while. The seeds are going to sow, and then they're going to need a little bit of nutrients to get them through the next month or so without human intervention. Okay, so I always pre-moisten it with any of my seed starting. Duct tape, I'm going to use that to seal up the containers afterwards. Soil, containers, water. Oh, and I need something to write on the container to say what it is, and then also something to mark on the inside also to write what it is in case like the elements wipe off the outside or fades by the sun. So that's basically what I need to get started, and I have all that here. Today for my labels that I'm going to be using, since they're going to be outdoors their whole life, I'm going to use this plastic container, cut little strips, and then right on the inside they are, and they will work perfect. The next step is going to be to prepare the container. Before you cut this open, you're going to make sure you drill the holes on the bottom first. I'll show you what I use. I usually use a drill, but you don't need a drill. If you have just maybe a nail you can stick in there, a knife. You want to make about 8 holes at the bottom. I always say the more the merrier. You don't want this to get waterlogged. So once the holes are all drilled, then I will go ahead and cut the container. Now when I cut the container, I'm going to make sure I leave a little space over on this side, not cut, just like I did with these containers, so it can work as a hinge. You want to keep this on here. Makes it a lot easier for when you're taping it shut. I'll show you how I did it. I used both a knife and a pair of scissors because that was the easiest way for me to do it. And I started on one of the sides, leaving about this much room as my hinge. And I just poked a hole. And I could just use this and kind of go all the way around, and it will work because I've done it once. But the next time I did it, I used a pair of scissors and thought it was even easier. These are my kitchen scissors. I'm trying to keep it as even as possible. I doubt I did a perfect job, but as you can see, I'm trying to leave at least 4 inches at the bottom for soil and enough room up top so the seedlings, once they start growing, if they get taller before I can get out there, there'll be enough room for them to grow. And a couple more snips. And perfect. And if you still have your cover on, take it off. You do not need the cover. And that's going to be the hole that's going to allow water to come in, snow to come in, and stay in. Once I have it all cut open, my holes are at the bottom. My container has a nice hinge to it. I'm going to fill it with pre-moistened soil. I'm going to fill up the container almost to the top of that ridge. And I like to do a little tap down, get rid of any air bubbles, and I pat it down a little bit. Now that's doing a couple of things. When I pat it down, it's making this bottom top pretty sturdy. And it's also gonna get rid of any air pockets. Again, like I said earlier, just tapping it down, but patting it down does a little bit of a better job. And now I just need to sow the seeds. Let's go over what I'm gonna be growing. Okay, I had to get my glasses because I wanna read some of the seed packs to see how deep I need to sow the seeds. Grab my watering can or watering bottle to squirt the seeds in. Even though the soil is all nice and moist, I want to make sure the seeds get moist. And we're going to start off with butterfly weed. This is an orange. I'm not even going to try to pronounce the underlying name for it, but it's a butterfly weed. Label the inside and the outside. Butterfly weed. Drought-tolerant plants produce many blooms over a long season and attract butterflies. Obviously, that is why I wanted it. Depth, 1/4 of an inch deep. Thin to 1 foot apart. It says to sow the seeds in full sun after danger of frost or in late summer, 12 weeks before ground freezes. Sow seeds evenly and thinly and cover with 1/4 inch of fine soil. Firm lightly, keep evenly moist. The seedlings emerge in 10 to 21 days. I think I'm going to write that on the container also. Because knowing me, I'm going to be out there checking these all the time. Tana, can we not play with that bone right now? That Squeakin' is my guy. Loves his little bone. Okay. This is the first time I'm growing perennial flowers and first time I'm trying the winter sowing method. I'm going to do a lot of the seeds in here and trust that it's going to work, but I also want to try some indoors just to sprinkle them on top of the soil and cover them with 1/4 inch. Let's see what I got in here. Oh, okay. They are not tiny. That's good. I like being able to see the seeds. They're big enough. I'm going to try to separate them a little bit so when if they all sow outside, they'll already be easy for me to separate. I'm just going to press them in 1/4 of an inch and cover them with soil. All right, I'll just water them in. Cover them up. Now, I think the best way to do this, rather than just try to go around the whole thing, get a little piece. And one little piece of tape. And then I'll go around. Of course, I have like Gorilla Tape here. There we go. And now I'm going to do this for the other ones, and I'll take them outside. I'm excited. Next up, we have Echinacea. Large, long-lasting, rosy purple flowers surround an orange-brown center. Sow outdoors in spring or late summer, at least 12 weeks before the first frost. Sow seeds evenly and thinly to cover 1/4 inch of fine soil. Obviously, we did not do that. So that's why we're using the winter sowing method. With all the perennial flowers, I'm starting with this method. They all take 365 days to mature. And what that means is with most perennial flowers, you're going to grow them 1 year, they'll get all their greens, plant them outside, and then they'll come back year after year. So it's taken me way too long to start perennial flowers, and flowers in general. Usually I'm really into all the vegetable gardening. I do like flowers. I'm also a florist, but I haven't grown my own. So this year is going to be a big year for flowers. I have a ton of annuals, but these 6 are the 6 perennials I'm starting. So hopefully year after year, add more and more to the garden, and there'll be less I have to actually grow every year. I put my label on the outside, and I'm already forgetting my label on the inside. Okay. With a lot of these flowers, perennials, they not only just grow back every year, they also self-seed. So these are some of the flowers that I've looked up that I know that as they die off, they'll self-seed every year. So another positive of perennials. And with the others, I'm going to do a bunch in here, but again, I want to also do some indoors, just in case something don't work out here. I need my glasses again. I'm liking how like some of these flower seeds are large enough for me to handle and keep separate. And all pressed in. And I already have some pre-moistened soil I'm going to use to put on top. Where is that soil? I brought it over with a little shovel and thought I'm going to use my hand. You ready? Okay. I think my cat is playing the piano again. Water that in and get on to the next one. Okay, our next one is Columbine. Columbine. And this one is also so pretty. I really just chose these because I was at the store and I decided I wanted a couple of perennials. I just chose a few because I was in a hurry, and I'm happy with what I got. And 1/4 of an inch deep, sow in spring to early summer in the north, fall in the south, and blooms spring to summer. Seedlings emerge after 22 to 30 days. So these do take a long time to germinate. What did I say this was? Columbine? Put it down. And we'll put these. Should have opened the packages before. It takes longer to open the package than it does to actually sow the seeds. I don't want to like rip them open and get them everywhere. I also want to keep them nice and neat to reclose them. Oh, these are tiny. There is not a lot of them. All right. So they're all out. So they're all going in here. And they're just going to do their best because I can barely see them. I'm just going to push them in. I don't want to put them too deep because they are so tiny. I'm just going to kind of mix them in. 3 more to go. I think this is next. This is so pretty. They look like little delicate flowers. They're supposed to grow like really low, which I like. Depth barely cover, so they're probably going to be small like the last ones. These are called Dianthus Arctic Fire. White flowers with magenta rings, bloom on a low spreading mat like plants. And so outdoors in a sunny area after last spring frost or late summer. Blooms in the spring. Not this spring, but next spring. Yes, also very tiny. So I'm going to just spread them very lightly. Like they said, barely cover. And I do need to put my glasses back on for this. I think I'm not even going to put them in my hand. Just see if I can. There's none even coming out yet. Yeah, for you. Oh, they all came out. That is crazy. All right, well, we'll see what happens with those. Gonna mix them around. Just barely cover. Water them in. For the last two, we have Aubrietta. This is another low-growing plant. Very pretty. 1-inch purple flowers on a low-spreading plant. Good for rock gardens, perennial. So my plan is have some of the larger flowers growing up behind and some of these lower ones to kind of carpet underneath the flowers. It's all kind of in my head right now. I don't even really have a real plan yet. But I figured if I think too much about it, I'm never going to start them. So just grab what I can and start. Tiny, tiny seeds. Came all out, so we're going to do them all. And just hope that they grow. I have no reason to believe they won't. They're so tiny, I'm just going to tease them in under the dirt. Pat them in a little bit. Water them in. And we have one left. The Shasta Daisy. Forgot to put the little sign in the Aubrietta. So now it is. And my last one, Shasta Daisy. Now, I think Shasta Daisy is the same daisies that I found in my sister's yard that I deadheaded and tried to get the seeds from them. So I'm interested to see when I open that package if they look like the same things I got from the Shasta Daisies or the daisies that were at my sister's. I followed the instructions on how I was supposed to harvest them. So let's see. Let's read about the Shasta Daisy anyway. Okay, it only takes 14 to 21 days to germinate. 1/4 inch deep. Thin plants when they're 3 inches high. Blooms in the second season from sowing, which we already knew that from the other information we found on perennials. So, like I thought, they don't look anything like the seeds that I harvested from my sister's flowers. I'll show you those here. So I'll be interested to see what happens with those. Look at a little closer. They're close, but these are white, and the ones that I had were black. And I know that these flowers do well around here because I see them growing all over. So I can cover them a little bit with soil. Pat it down and water them in. Once I have all these watered in, I'm just going to dry the side of the container to put the tape on. The first one I did went around fine, but I noticed that some of the container was a little wet, and I don't want that to happen with some of the other ones. I want to make sure I have a good seal on all of these. The first one. So I just realized I marked these all the 25th, and today is only February 24th. There are worse things. But these are not actually that wet, so that's good. Okay. So once I get all the tape, I have them all taped up, I put them outside, sitting in the snow in a sunny spot. Now I can't even get to my garden right now because we are in the middle of the blizzard of 26. Where I am had 41 inches over the last couple of days, so I can't even get to my backyard. I think what I'm going to do is throw them out on my fire escape, leave them there until I can actually get out to the garden. The fire escape gets plenty of sun. It's exposed to the elements, which is what we need. We want to make sure the sun can get to it, and the cold can get to it, and the snow and the rain can get to it, so they can grow. Now I suggest you get some good duct tape because the cheaper stuff probably ain't going to last too great out there in the snow and the rain. However, don't get anything too good. I'm using the Gorilla tape. I'm having a hard time just pulling it apart. So I'll take care of all this after the fact. I'll get all these outside, and I'll definitely make sure I give you an update on how things are growing. Thanks for joining me today. And if you have any questions on what I'm doing or what I've done, let me know in the comments. I'll see you next time. Peace.